What is up, you guys? We're hitting up the recap of the big UFC 285 fight card. You guys know it was a huge night for me. As far as betting goes, we did great. We'll be talking about the 4 plays we targeted here in a second. Our free pick that we gave to you guys cashed once again. That's 3 in a row now. And overall, throughout the card with our overall picks, we did very good. So excited to recap this fight card. You guys know what we're going to be doing. We're doing some matchmaking for the winners of the main card. We'll be dissecting the bets that we attacked throughout this card, and we'll briefly talk about every fight here. So with no further ado, let's jump right into it.
Welcome to the show. This the MMA fortune teller. Yeah.
The MMA fortune teller.
The teller.
So how about the UFC newcomer? Steps in on short notice. Loic Radzhabov takes out the undefeated Esteban Ribovics. Now, to be fair, Ribovics finished this fight very strongly. But once again, I told you guys, Loic did take this fight on short notice. So let's take it easy on him. He definitely showed that he has the heart of a lion, and he does have some very high caliber technical abilities with his striking and grappling. He's a very well-rounded fighter. I'm excited to see who he gets next, as he has a full camp for a fight in the UFC. He's a great addition to the roster. And Esteban Ribovics, I think that he shows that he has some promise as well. He's young, and this was a great learning experience for him. So that was a cool fight there, kicking the card off. After that, Farid Basharat, he stays undefeated. The Basharat brothers are still undefeated. He's now 10-0. Takes out Damon Blackshear. It was a close fight towards the beginning of the fight, but I did feel that Farid was just a step above technically, and he did what I expected him to do there. Remember, he was a massive favorite going into that fight. I'm not necessarily sure that he performed up to what the odds were on that fight. And but at the end of the day, just as we said, Farid was going to go out there and get the job done. That's what he did. Unanimous decision for Farid. After that, Tabitha Ricci goes out there, pulls off the armbar against Jessica Penne. I think that's the last time we'll be seeing Penne in the octagon now. She's very much up there in age, and I'm very pleased to see the growth that Ricci is showing in the UFC. She's on a 3-fight winning streak right now. Again, she lost her UFC debut, but it was against Manon Fiorot. We know that she's the real deal, and maybe down the line we see Ricci get a rematch against Manon. You never know. I mean, Ricci really has a promising career ahead of her. She's been putting in some work throughout the recent years with Daniel Cormier and all them over there, working on her wrestling. If she gets to fight down to the mat against anybody in the division, she could really be a problem for them with her Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. She's working on her overall game, and I think that she's a true danger in the division. So that was cool to see there. Cameron Saman takes out Mana Martinez. He had a point taken away for him early in this fight. And the scorecards, some people thought the scorecards were going to play out interestingly. You guys see the little tweets going off in the left corner. Some people were saying Mana Martinez won the first round or won one of those rounds. One of the judges did give Mana that early round there. I thought that Cameron was really in complete control of this fight. And although it wasn't his most dominant performance compared to the 2 finishes we just seen him have, I think that once again that he shows that he is just a very promising fighter, and he has some legit skills. And then you tag that along with the fact that he's so young, and he's just so exciting, and I can't wait to see how far he pushes it. After that, we had Ian Machado Gary taking out Kenan Song, got the knockout there in the 3rd round, felt some early adversity, and still stays undefeated. Another fighter maintaining his undefeated record here. And Gary, you guys know, I like Gary. He's a good guy. He's like the good version of McGregor representing Ireland. He's just a different type of dude, but he's a talented striker, and I'm excited to see who he faces off with next there. Marc-Andre Barriault takes out Julian Marquez. This fight played out exactly like we said it would too. I was a little disappointed in myself for not grabbing this line early and making this an official play. You guys know I picked Marc-Andre. He was a slight underdog on some books early on. A lot of action came in on him. He settled in as a -165 favorite as that fight was kicking off. So a lot of action coming in on him. And we talked about the fact that Julian Marquez has finished all of his victories. And if he didn't get that knockout there, I really felt that Marc-Andre was going to take this fight over with his conditioning and his cardio. It's exactly what he did, right? You heard the broadcast team talking about how his nickname is based off his cardio. We talked about that going into the fight. He can really push the pace, and Julian Marquez is a guy that's a little hefty and starts to breathe heavy as the fight goes on. So I should have made that an official play, but you know what fight we did make an official play? Our first official play, Amanda Ribas to defeat Vivian Araújo. Grabbed this at a minus 120 line, almost a pick 'em. I felt very good about this play. I should have probably upped the units, but either way, the only thing I was slightly worried about is the fact that Amanda Ribas does need to sharpen up her striking defense, but her striking offense looked to have really enhanced in this fight here. We know that her jiu-jitsu is nasty. That's what I was really favoring in this fight. We saw her do a lot of work down on the mat, and I threw 2 units at it at minus 120. So we kicked things off with our first official play hitting. Then we strung that into our second official play that hit. How about this one here? Dricus du Plessis. I threw 3 units at him to finish this fight within the distance. Check this out. I'll read you what some of my write-up that I had on my official play. So Dricus is, he has finishes in 17 of his 18 victories. Okay, out of 18 of his victories, he has finished 17 of them. Meanwhile, out of Derek Brunson's last 7 losses, he was finished in 6 of those. I mean, these were things that I was really diving into, and I grabbed this at a pick'em line. I was able to grab Dricus at minus 110 to finish that fight within the distance. I felt that I had to attack that there. 3 units. You guys know how it ended. The corner of Derek threw the towel in as the end of the second round finished up. To be honest, I was sweating a little bit as they were going back and forth. Dricus was hitting Derek with some big shots, but Derek seemed to be taking them. Obviously he was taking a lot of damage, but I was worried that towards the third round that they would both get very tired and maybe Derek would have survived. I really wanted to see those striking exchanges take place early in the first round, but that wasn't the case with Derek pushing the grappling, getting a takedown there and starting to get Dricus to breathe heavy. But we cashed that, so we go 2 for 2 to kick things off. And then we hit up our 1 lone loss, which was only a 1 unit stab. It was a plus 325 line that I attacked on Trevin Jones inside the distance. I was looking to fade Cody Garbrandt's chin here. And in fact, this was one of the only fights that I actually picked incorrectly throughout this entire card. We almost had a perfect card here. Of course, we missed one, but pretty much everybody missed that other one. We'll talk about that in a second. But, Trevin Jones played this fight absolutely horribly here. You saw when he actually pushed the fight with the minute left to go in it, out of 15 minutes, he pushes the fight for the last minute, and he actually landed a little bit, and you saw Cody was not liking it. Eventually, Cody even gets taken down. Trevin Jones absolutely dropped the ball here. There was no activity. He threw about two strikes out there throughout the first 2 rounds. It was as frustrating of a performance as you could have seen, because if he would have fought like he has fought in the past and would have had some confidence out there, he could have landed that shot. He needed to test Cody's chin. You heard his corner going absolutely crazy. I believe it was, the name slipping my mind right now. Saif, I forgot his name. You guys know what I'm talking about. I don't know why his name's slipping my mind right now, but he's a solid coach, and he was screaming in the corner. And Trevin Jones just was not listening, and he was not responding to the commands. And it was unfortunate for him, because I think he might get cut from the UFC after a performance like that in a big stage like this. Cody, I believe Dana White didn't get to see this fight. He was in the back handling some stuff, he said. But if he runs the tape back on this, if Dana White gets a hold of that tape there, I think he's letting Trevin Jones go. Cody, he looked good with his footwork and whatnot, but again, I just don't trust the chin, and I think that he will be getting knocked out in the near future. Remember, I told you guys that I'm telling you, someone's going to go out there, they're going to push the pace in him, and they're going to connect. You can't run away for 15 minutes. Cody snuck in some takedowns. He was essentially running away in that fight, if you want to be honest, doing his little breakdance move and whatnot. I'm a big Cody fan, by the way. I used to be a Cody fan. I still am, respect him, but he's not the same fighter. Bo Nickal goes out there, pulls off the arm triangle choke on Jamie Pickett in the first round. He was just playing with his food. It was a little unfortunate that there was that slight controversy of him throwing that knee towards Pickett's crotch, and maybe it connected, maybe it didn't. But, you kind of wish that never happened, because you know what was going to happen regardless, right? He was going to rip him down to the mat and just destroy him. I was kind of trying to understand what was going on there with that head and arm triangle choke because, for those of you guys that know your BJJ, at least whenever I'm pulling that move off or when I used to be pulling that move off in the gym, it's really an elementary choke. You've seen guys like Brock Lesnar go inside the octagon. He's pulling off that sub against Shane Carwin back in the day. If you're a strong wrestler, you can feel that choke out pretty easily. It's one of the first chokes I learned in the gym back in the day. And I was just kind of confused to why Bo Nickal really wasn't taking the bottom half of his body, taking his legs, and really he was able to pull his legs out of Jamie's guard there and kind of sway off to the side, and he wasn't doing that. He was kind of just sitting on top of him there, fishing for that choke, and it was kind of intriguing to me because I know that Bo Nickal knows that choke. There's no way that he doesn't know that choke up until this point. Understand that, yeah, he's green to the sport of MMA, but I mean, we're talking about a guy that has been in the gym for a long time. That's a choke that you learn so easily within a month of being in the gym. I mean, it's really simple, right? You dive the shoulder in, get a nice grip on that, and you're taking your torso off and you're going off to the outside. You want to almost be on a slant to their body. You don't want to be parallel to their body there. So he kind of just stood like that. That was confusing to me. Maybe that's his way of doing the choke. Maybe people do it differently. But that's never how I learned it. So correct me if I'm wrong for all you BJJ players out there. And so for Bo Nickal's next fight, personally, I would like to see him face off with Wellington Turman. Wellington Turman, he is coming off a loss against Andre Petrosky. Before that, though, victories over Misha Serkinov and Sam Alvey. He's bounced around a little bit, right, into different divisions in the light heavyweight division and the middleweight division. His most recent fight being against Andre Petrosky in the middleweight division. Again, even though he's coming off that loss, he has victories in the UFC. He's a fighter that has 24 pro fights under his belt. He's currently ranked 48th on Tapology worldwide rankings, while Bo Nickal's 50. Take that for what you will, because I think Bo Nickal will steam through a lot of guys above him. Just has to prove himself a little bit. Bo only has 4 pro fights right now. I have no problem with him taking a fight against a guy in Wellington Turman. Wellington has some decent striking. Has struggled at times with takedown defense. I think Bo Nickal will exploit him there. But if Bo struggles to get the fight down to the mat, Wellington is a guy that is he's a savvy vet at this point in time. On the feet striking, even though he's young, he has a lot of experience, and I think that's a fight that makes sense. You guys let me know what you think. Let me know if you could think of a better matchup for Bo, but I still don't want to see Bo jump into the top 20 or anything like that. Give him another fight, keep him active, keep throwing him into the cage, let him get 3 fights by the end of the year. I'd love to see that. 2 more by the end of the calendar year, and I think Wellington would be a good step up. I think that Wellington is a little bit of a step up compared to a Jamie Pickett, and then after that, we'll step it up a little bit more from there. So that's how I'm feeling about that. Gamrot sneaks off a split decision against Jalen Turner. I thought it was warranted. It was a very close fight, but he solidified some takedowns. Turner looked really good, and I still think that Turner is a major threat in this division. Remember, he's young, and he's still working on his takedown defense and his grappling and all that, and he's definitely getting better. And his striking's nasty. The reach and the frame that he has is nasty, and I think that Turner is going to be a major problem in the division. And understand that Gamrot took that fight on short notice as well. But Gamrot, in my opinion, I feel like almost his stock goes down more than Turner's stock goes up. And that's kind of weird because it was a close fight that Gamrot got the nod in. But Turner is the fighter you want to keep an eye on there. And that's why, we picked Gamrot to win that fight. We were on the fence. I almost picked Turner. That's kind of how I saw that fight going. We said the value was on Turner. Still doesn't get the nod there, but you guys know what I'm talking about. Now for Gamrot's next fight, I'm going to say give him the winner of Justin Gaethje and Rafael Fiziev. I mean, Gamrot's at the top of the heap, whether you like his performances or not, whether you're that excited with his fighting style. I mean, he's one of the best fighters in the lightweight division. His grappling is a serious problem for a lot of guys. And I think that if he matches up with Rafael Fiziev or Justin Gaethje, that would play out to be a fun fight. They're about to fight very soon here. You take a look at the top 10 of the lightweight rankings in the UFC, and a lot of guys are already matched up. This is a fight that's just about to take place. This fight makes a lot of sense. He's calling out for a top 5 opponent. If you're not going to give him that top 5 opponent, I mean, if you want to be stingy and you're not really crazy about how he's not going out there and putting on the most exciting performance in his last 2 fights, maybe you want to match him up with Arman Sarukian in a rematch, which I'm sure he wouldn't be crazy about, or you want to give him Drew Dober or Renato Moicano. Moicano and Dober, I'm sure, are chomping at the bit to get a fight with a guy with a number next to their name like Gamrot does have. So those are some of the options there. And, remember, he took this recent fight on short notice. I think that the UFC may reward him with a big fight after this. Shavkat Rakhmonov takes out Jeff Neal, puts him in the bully choke there, steals his lunch money. What an absolute barn burner of a fight. What an entertaining fight that was. Shavkat Rakhmonov, he has proven now that he is willing to go out there and just put on a performance, even putting himself in harm's way. He could have played this fight much more safely from the outside and really just won an easy decision. That's not what he's about. He's going out there. He's looking to finish his opponents. Hence the reason why he's finished every single fight that he's ever had, 17 in a row, 17 victories, all finishes. He's an absolute stud. I'm not saying that he's going to go out there and run through a guy like Khamzat Chimaev, but I think I'm edging him in a matchup with Khamzat right now. For whatever reason, both of those fighters' names, they seem to kind of, gravitate towards each other when people talk about them because they're eerie, they're undefeated, they come from far parts of the world, and I would love to see that fight. I don't think that's the fight we're going to see. Obviously, we don't even know if Khamzat's staying in the welterweight division these days, but you know what? You saw how Gilbert Burns made Khamzat really dig deep and go to war there, and it played out closely. I think Shavkat could do the same thing, and if Khamzat doesn't sleep him, I don't know. I think Shavkat can put him through some problems there. Jeff Neal missed weight, still got a fighter bonus, a performance bonus for the performance he put out there. I think he deserved it. He's a stud as well. He has some serious boxing, some serious power there. And Shavkat's lucky he didn't get slept. He was playing with fire. He got caught a couple times. And I'm interested to see who Jeff Neal fights next as well. Check this out. I want to feed Bilal Muhammad to the wolves and throw him to Shavkat Rakhmonov. I think Rakhmonov is a stylistic nightmare for Muhammad because Muhammad loves to use his wrestling and kind of draw out victories, boring decision victories against his opponents. And I think that Shavkat would stuff those takedowns and really play with Bilal on the feet. Maybe it's not as easy as I'm saying it will be done, but Shavkat does get the job done there. I think he even finishes that fight. I think he really bloodies up and hurts Bilal on the feet. And you guys know I'm not really crazy about Bilal Muhammad, although he kind of grew on me on the Joe Rogan Experience, but he's a guy that's blocked me on IG. He blocks everybody on IG. He's kind of a corny dude, as you kind of caught up with him on the Joe Rogan Experience, but he also has some interesting things about him that I do respect at the same time. Let me be honest. That's a fight that I would like to see. Give me Shavkat and Bilal Muhammad, and I think that'd be a fun one. Now, this one hurt. My old girl, Valentina Shevchenko, for a long time, I was saying that she was right there as the pound-for-pound queen of women's mixed martial arts. That's definitely no longer the case. This performance was really horrid for her because not only did she get finished, she looked bad early on in this fight. And, the first time around against Talia Santos, we could chalk that up to just an off night at the office, which is what I thought it was. But you guys know I keep it real with you, even when we're talking about my ex-famous women's mixed martial artist in Valentina Shevchenko. Age caught up with her very quickly, and I just didn't like the way that she made that mistake. I mean, it's the fight game. I get it. She threw that spinning kick, and props to Grasso for immediately grabbing the back there and sinking in that choke. You saw how tight that choke was with Shevchenko's face. You could see the discoloration from the blood from her being squeezed there. Alexa Grasso, she's a good boxer. She's showing that she's a nasty jiu-jitsu player as well. She has major issues with her takedown defense, though. She's taken down regularly, just way too much in the octagon. And I think that a girl like Erin Blanchfield would be a nightmare for Alexa Grasso. I think that Blanchfield would actually submit her. But for Alexa Grasso's next fight, I want to see her get the rematch with Valentina Shevchenko. I think that Shevchenko is just as deserving as anybody is, right? Amanda Nunes got an immediate rematch against Pena. I don't see any reason why Valentina Shevchenko shouldn't get a rematch. She is, without a doubt, the greatest flyweight women's mixed martial artist of all time. I mean, you can't really argue the numbers. I mean, she's the only, up until this past weekend, she's the only champion that the division's ever seen. She deserves an immediate rematch. She wants it. Do you guys want to see that rematch, or do you want to see Blanchfield jump in there and take out Grasso? How about that? You want to see her go out there and finish Grasso, or just dominate her down in the mat for 25 minutes? You guys let me know what fight you want there. And then we had John Jones defeating Cyril Gane. You guys know it was my free play that I gave to you guys. Not only was it my free play that I gave to you guys, it was the biggest play that I had on the night, a 5-unit play at minus 160. I took John Jones here. You guys know how I felt about this fight. The wrestling was going to be way too much for Cyril Gane. I saw people, again, we could talk about the grappling of Cyril Gane and Francis Ngannou's, people trying to rave about Francis Ngannou's growth at the time. It drove me absolutely nuts. It made me sick when I was hearing about it at the time. I don't understand how people are not breaking down tape, and understanding it's low-level grappling. And a guy like John Jones bumping up in weight was going to dominate fighters like Cyril Gane or Francis Ngannou. If Francis Ngannou what was to ever return to the octagon, which isn't going to happen, and if he was to face off with a guy like Jon Jones, he's going to get dominated with the grappling. Now, it's the fight game, of course, and a guy like Francis Ngannou, I think that he would rise to the occasion a little bit more so as far as, Cyril Gane definitely let the moment get to him. He was shaky in there. Jon Jones was pressing him. And stylistically as well, right? Cyril Gane's a guy that kind of plays off the back foot and likes to use his footwork and then start to catch his groove with the striking. Francis Ngannou would have been in there in those first couple of seconds looking to land a giant shot and to put Jon Jones's lights out. So he'll have that slight chance there. But if Jon Jones just avoids that and he gets in on him, he's taking him down. He's dominating him. He's mopping the floors with him. He's mopping the canvas up for as long as that fight lasts, if not submitting Francis Ngannou. And the fight would play out probably relatively similar to Stipe Miocic and Francis Ngannou's first fight, and that's probably a best case scenario for Francis Ngannou. If he's even able to get up, back up, or survive down in the mat with Jon Jones, then it would play out similarly to Stipe versus Ngannou the first time around. But there's a great chance that Jon Jones just submits him or finishes him down in the mat very early. So Jon Jones is the GOAT of mixed martial arts. You guys know I was a little bit on the fence after his last performance against Dominic Reyes and Thiago Santos, but now coming back to the octagon after a long layoff, bumping up in weight, taking out, in my opinion, probably the best striker to have ever done it in the UFC and the UFC's heavyweight division, although again, styles make matchups, and Jones was able to go out there and just exploit his grappling. As great of a striker as Cyril Gane is, if you don't have the grappling, then that's what's going to happen. And the UFC's heavyweight division is lacking very much so when it comes to grapplers. Go check out the top 15 of the division. Go check out Cyril Gane's resume, all the fighters that he's faced. We talked about it. There's no grapplers on there. You talk about some of the top heavyweights right now. There's just not any real legit grapplers. The best grapplers in the division are Jon Jones, Stipe Miocic, Curtis Blades, but you really can't sit here and talk about too many other guys. Maybe I'm forgetting about one other. If you guys want to mention someone else, but those are the guys right now. It's Stipe, Curtis, and Jon Jones, and then you're talking about a bunch of strikers in the division here. Tom Aspinall, the book isn't out on him yet. He's a tricky grappler, but not really a wrestler. But Jon Jones, I want to see him face off with Stipe Miocic next, the greatest UFC heavyweight of all time. Let's see if Stipe can make his return back to the octagon after a long layoff and take over the scene right now, like Jon Jones just did. Jon Jones is ruling mixed martial arts right now for the time being, and we'll see how that next fight takes place. But that's the fight that makes perfect sense. It was a fight that was supposed to happen a while ago. Make that fight. What do you guys think about that? All right, guys. That's the recap of UFC 285. We hit 3 of our 4 official plays, with that one loss just being a 1 unit plus 325 stab. We murked the card. Our free play that we gave to you guys hits once again. That's 3 free plays coming your guys' way that have cashed over the past almost month now. And you guys know that 4th one's going to be cashing as well. I'm happy for you guys that are riding with those picks there. I'm happy for you guys that are riding with my official plays, you guys that reached out to me and had a great night with me. You guys can expect things to really start heating up here. You guys know the prediction video for UFC Vegas 71 is already out, and we have some plays being finalized as we speak, and it's going to be a profitable night. I guarantee it. So hit me up if you guys are interested in that. Please hit the like button on this video on your way out. Subscribe if you guys haven't already. Catch me on all my social media. You guys know I love you guys. Signing out. Teller.
Welcome to the show. This the MMA fortune teller. Yeah.
The MMA fortune teller.
The teller.